I'm going to show the workflow for planning an opposing splint against a splint you've already designed. In the past, you'd have to re-import all your models with the new splint and start the workflow over and indicate upper, lower, but then you'd trick it by selecting the lower appliance as your opposing model. Then for a while we had a little operator that would switch everything around for you, but then with all the structural changes in the version 7 and 8 series, that was broken for a while. So now I've kind of gone back and thought it back through. So we're just finishing a lower simple shell here. We'll go ahead and finalize that. And so keep in mind that in the simple shell, we mark landmarks if there are two models, but there is no articulation. So keep that in mind as we decide to go back up and plan our splint on the opposing model. So you'll notice that all the checkboxes are undone. We've switched the jaw type to maxilla. You still have to specify what type of appliance you want for the second arch. But notice that the materials have been swapped, so the upper jaw now has the shiny material, indicating that's the working model, and the lower jaw still has a matte material, indicating it's the opposing. So we're going to change this to Michigan style. And you'll notice now there's a button here that requires a checkbox that says Create Articulator. So we switched to Michigan. We're going to keep our settings the same. We're going to create our articulator. So now I've got the timeline hidden here, but your window will look like this. So now the lower appliance moves with the lower jaw. Now I think we can even open the pin. Actually, I haven't tested this, so that'll be good to know. Good, yeah, we can open the pin and the appliance follows along. And now we can go right on with our workflow, designing on the upper model. Okay, so I'm right here. I went ahead and marked my margin and did the refractory model and all that just to save a little video time. And so now you'll notice our background processes are still kicking off. And I'm going to mark my curves, and while I'm at it, just show an alternative way to mark your curves that may result in a little smoother rim than trying to go at it from the occlusal view. Alright, not bad. We'll calculate our rim, fuse our rim, commit there, and then now our functional surface will go off and be working in the background. Block out our large concavities. Okay, so we'll do our posterior contacts just to get a nice flat Our functional surface is done now, so I went ahead and subtracted the functional surface. And here we go. So last thing I'll do is I'll do another remesh and smooth at this higher resolution. I might come through with the sculpt and make this brush a little bit weaker and scrape down that edge. Same thing here. Scrape down that edge. Take my fill brush, just hit those little corners so they're not kind of jagged. Fill that in. Yeah, if you don't, if you're not familiar with the fill brush, go ahead and learn to use that. Lastly, I'll come back with the smooth, just hiding. Scrape, sculpt, smooth. And just soften these boundaries a little bit. So in general, smooth affects high spots and low spots. So high spots get lower and low spots get higher. Scrape selectively affects high spots. High spots get lower without affecting low spots, and fill is the inverse. Low spots get higher. Also, now that in this new update, when you're sculpting, you can go ahead and regrind your MIP and keep sculpting. You can subtract your functional surface and keep sculpting. And so like I can scrape down that little ledge, smooth it a little bit, and then subtract the functional surface again, and that way you can use your automatic editing tools with your manual editing tools a little more fluidly. Okay, so there we have it. So it's a little bit thin back here, so I am going to correct minimum thickness, and then know that we need to adjust the lower appliance after they're printed. Okay, so there is a dual arch workflow. I'll post some more videos about it once I'm finished testing, but that should be an overview.